When everybody's, okay,
Okay. Just get that off the screen.
let's make sure everybody's connecting, because
Yeah,
people
we
are still
will. We
connecting.
will. Okay. Okay. We're gonna get
Mr. Kelly,
started.
Mr.
Yes,
Kelly, you have everything, right?
Mr.
I'm
Kelly's
here, and
ready.
I do have the list. Mr. Moto checked with me on that
Okay,
earlier.
I'm
just
sorry.
changing
Yes,
my
that's
name now.
correct. Right.
Mr. Kelly's always ready.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's get started. We're gonna do 444 to 448 North 60th Street first. Who's here from that address?
Kevin Wright, the owner. Oh,
Kevin, are you the only one?
yes,
Okay, so, all right, we have to swear you in. Could you please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Tom, can you please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, Thomas Ryback,
Okay.
RYBAKOWSKI.
Good. I'm Wayne Miller, board member.
Amy Rivera, board member.
Brian McSherry, Board Counsel.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administration.
Philip Motto, Boards Administration.
Okay. Everybody there? All right, okay. Tom, do you want to start the case?
I will defer, as we did not make do the appeal, so I will defer and then do my opening statement afterwards.
Okay, the appellant for that case, you want to start?
Oh, you talking to me?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. Ellen and I had marked my
Wait a minute.
building.
Phil has to read the case into the record.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's a little. Phil, read the case into the record. I'm sorry.
This is MI 2023-005-730 for the property located at 444 through 48 North 60th Street. Kevin Wright is the appellant. He's present in the room.
Okay, Kev, go ahead. You can tell your case.
Okay. The city of Philadelphia, upon the demolition of my neighbor, marked my building imminently dangerous. And I want to, I don't know why they did that, but that's what I've seen. They were the lady next door. The building there was, I think, about 13 feet high, and she did a lot of work in it. And I believe there was an HVAC unit on the top, on the roof, and then it then either rained or something, and it collapsed. When I had talked to her, she said that the city of Philadelphia gave her like 2 hours to do something. So when I went out there to check to see her demolition, next thing I knew, there was an imminently dangerous sign on my building. Next, like when they was tearing her building out, they put a sign there, boom. And then from what I gathered from talking to some of the workers, I said, oh, well, they're gonna probably tear that building down too. I said, but anyway, so that's where I'm at now. So that's what started this whole process.
Okay. Tom?
So, long story short is Mr. Wright attended a hearing in front of this board on October 5th of 2023. At that time, this board rendered a decision on a property that he owns next to this one for 442 North 60th Street that Mr. Wright was was ordered by this board and granted a variance to obtain a make-safe permit in 45 days from the date of that hearing for the property at 442 North 60th Street, which is right next to this property. This property sits at 444.
Excuse me for a second. Was the 442 the house that was taken down?
No.
Okay, all right, okay.
442, at the time of that testimony, that is a warehouse. There was a fracture in the back of the wall, and during that testimony, this property at 444, at that time, it was read into the record that 442 or 444 was previously declared as unsafe by the department, and it was upgraded to eminently dangerous with conditions that had where material had fallen from that property, landed on the public walkway, and that property was declared as eminently dangerous following that event. That was read into the record at that hearing on October 5th of 2023. At that time, this board ordered Mr. Wright that he had 45 days to get a make safe permit for that property at 442 North 60th Street. At that time, the following day, Mr. Wright decided to file an appeal to this board, appealing the designation of the property at 444 being declared as eminently dangerous. Mr. Wright already knew that this property was deemed as eminently dangerous per the testimony that was discovered at the hearing for his property at 442 North 60th Street. For that matter, this property had been declared eminently dangerous far past the 5-day appeal period. On those merits and those merits alone, this should be denied, and a variance should be denied, and as a matter of fact, by this board. If the board is going ahead and granting time, the department would ask for a make safe permit to be issued within 10 days for the repair of this property at 444 North 60th Street. And I only have one question to Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright, are you a contractor with the city of Philadelphia?
Yes,
So you have pulled make safe permits in the past.
that is correct.
Okay. So, and that license is active, correct?
Correct.
And what is the address for that contractor?
2025 Fitzwater.
It's not Lincoln Avenue, Pottstown?
No.
Okay. What I will testify to the board is your email address that you use for your contractor's license is the same email address that you put on your appeal paperwork. By that, you are fully aware of make safe permits, and a make safe permit should be issued for this property being declared as eminently dangerous for the materials that had fallen into the public walkway for the front wall and the main roof. With that, I will rest.
Do we have any pictures?
I do. I'll share my screen.
Can I address some issues?
Absolutely, go ahead. Go
I mean,
ahead.
we'll let him talk, or should I, is it my turn to talk about this?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Okay, so he talked about 442 North 60th Street, and uh-oh, I lost somebody.
We're here.
No, we're here, we're just putting the
Oh, it's
pictures
one,
up.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
Karen.
at the time of that hearing, the only issue with that building was that there was a tree in the back of the yard of my neighbor, and I needed that tree was hitting about 9 bricks on 442 North 60th Street. That's what the issue was for that property, and I needed to discuss removing that tree so that those bricks, so the tree wouldn't hit the bricks at the top of the rear of that building at 442 North 60th Street. That's what and so I'm trying to get that done, but the neighbors are not cooperating with me removing that tree. And let me address too, the bricks that he says was falling off of 444 North 60th Street, there actually was someone who got on the roof, some mentally ill person who got on the roof and was throwing material off the roof. They were not, the bricks weren't falling, I'm sorry, the material falling off the roof was not on its own accord. It was from some mentally ill guy getting on a roof and throwing stuff off there, and then the fire company had to come and get him off. Some crazy person.
And that's for 442 or 444?
No, 444, 448. That 444, 448. A crazy person got on top of that building and started throwing stuff off of it.
Did that crazy person also create the step fracture between the first and second story?
I don't know about that. You said step. But when you tell the board that bricks are falling off, they were not falling off on their own. They were falling off because somebody was throwing material off the roof.
But you would agree with me that it still needs to be repaired, correct, Mr. Wright?
There still needs to be some work done to that building. However, it's not imminently dangerous.
If a brick falls off,
let me finish. Imminently dangerous means that you could tear the building at any time.
unsafe,
I shouldn't be. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
an unsafe designation also has the stipulation that the city could potentially demolish the property as well. So it's not that an unsafe or eminently dangerous. Eminently dangerous means that the classification is a little bit higher and that the danger is a little bit higher. And in this case, this is a multi-story building with material that is falling off at the roof line that could potentially strike somebody walking along the public walkway. And there was debris that had landed onto the walkway of that property along 60th Street. And with that, I will show the pictures to the board. This is the soffit area where the material was loose.
Where, Tom? What building?
This is 444 South 60th,
Which one's 444?
the left-hand side.
Okay.
So I'll change the photo again. So that's another photograph of the area by the area inspector. And that was taken in January of 2023.
You mean 2024?
Yes. Now, here's a photograph taken at the time the property was upgraded to eminently dangerous. This is 444. This is 442.
Okay, that's the one that we gave them 45 days to make it safe.
Yes, this is
Okay.
it's a row home. This is 442. This is a
Right, I
row
got
home that links back to a commercial warehouse. This
Okay.
is a commercial warehouse on 60th Street. This is the property at 444.
I got confused because there's a little house next to that property that has 442 written on it.
Yes,
Is that
but
also
they're
442 or they
linked
combined?
together.
Okay.
No,
So this is 444, and then there's a little row home. My apologies, I misspoke. This is still 444.
Okay. All right, that makes
This
more
is
sense.
444. This is 444, 448. And then you
Okay.
have, there's a little row home that sits behind this. It's an offset, as Ms. Rivera did just make the statement too. But
So-
this is the material that had fallen off of the building and landed on the public walkway, which is 60th Street, which you can see the caution tape. They had to rope off they had to caution tape the area off at the time, and that's when the property was declared as eminently dangerous.
can I make a statement?
That's what was read into the
1
record
second, Kev.
back when the other property was testified to. With that, the department will rest. Make safe
Okay.
permit must be issued for the repair of this property.
Okay, Kev, go ahead. Say what you guys said.
When they wrote that off, again, that was when a mentally ill person got on the roof and threw material onto the pavement. Period. That is a fact. They got on the roof, and the fire company had to get up there and get him off of it.
Okay, so any of the things that was coming off the roof was just material up there that was thrown off?
Correct. You know, glad. I mean, I believe so, sir. Yes.
Uh-huh.
But that was
And-
when a crazy person had gotten on the roof and threw stuff off.
Okay, now, Tom, a question are you saying that some of the bricks at the top are falling onto the ground?
Yes, there was an unsafe case onto the property prior to the property being declared as eminently dangerous. The violation spoke of conditions of the front wall and the roof. Those are still what was declared as eminently dangerous, and they need to be rectified by a make safe permit.
Okay, and that's for 444 to 448, or just 444?
444, it's a double parcel, it's a joined parcel line, so it's 444 through 448.
Okay, so, all right, so the issue is that, number one, the wall in the front of 444 is an issue, right? Which
Yes.
has to be fixed, that has to be made safe.
Yeah.
And if there's anything at the top falling off, that has to be made safe.
Correct.
If it's just debris up there falling off, I guess you'd have to get out and check that. I don't know what the issue is with that. But
The
Kev, when
violation also calls for a partially collapsed roof. Do we have photos of that?
Well, with the material that was falling off of the property, it came from the soffit area, which ties into the main roof. So that would cover the main roof and the soffit.
Okay, so we need to make that safe. Okay,
You talking to me?
and
Mr. Wright, are you able to get an engineer to look at it and document what's wrong and recommend repairs so that you can pull permit to make those repairs?
I believe
It
so.
looks like
yeah.
it's the parapet mostly.
Well, somebody stole the parapet years ago, and we thought it was L&I, believe it or not. Someone came out there with a truck and took the parapet off. I thought I thought it was L&I. So,
Do you have the means to, right now, get an engineer to look at that front facade and prepare a make-safe report? Or a
I believe
make-safe
so.
permit?
I believe so. However, he's saying 10 days. That's not enough time. I'm want to proffer 60 days to make this
Actually,
happen.
and Mr. Wright is saying, yes, the department is asking for 10 days. Actually, Mr. Wright has had plenty of time to rectify these violations going back to the last testimony that was in front of this board when it was discovered that Mr. Wright owned this property and the property next to it. Mr. Wright knows the way to facilitate a make safe permit. He has pulled make safe permits in the past. It is not a matter of him not being familiar with the system or any of that. And number one, we're saying that this should be denied in its entirety because it's past the appeal period. If you are going ahead and ruling, we would be asking that a permit be obtained within 10 days. With that, I'll rest.
Can I say something now?
yes, you can, go ahead.
Yeah, it takes longer than that, even to get an engineer out there. They're not sitting around waiting for me. It takes not forever, but it takes a couple of weeks just to get an engineer to get out there. And then if he gets out there, he has to make his report. And then you have to file with the city of Philadelphia, which takes at least, 5 to 10 days to get the plans, the city to approve it. It's not a 10-day process. It's not like he make it sound like it's easy to do. It's not. And he referred to me being in front of this board before. That was for 442 North 60th Street, and that issue was the bricks from the tree. A brick from a tree that I'm trying to convince the people next door to that to tear it down. We have some issues with that. And again, these bricks are not from a deterioration. It was from someone throwing the bricks, getting on the roof and throwing the bricks down there.
Okay, you're a contract, but Kevin, you're a contractor, right?
That is correct.
Okay, you got the wherewithal to get this done. You got contractors that work for you, people that work for you to take care of this. So you got to get an engineer's report to say what's the matter with the building. Okay. And then you have to make it safe. So Tom is saying 10 days. We'll caucus with the board and we'll talk about that and we'll get right back to you. Let's go to the breakout room.
Quick question, Tom, just to clarify, when you're saying 10 days, that's 10 days to file for the make safe permit, correct?
Yeah, I would like a permit to be under review within 10 days.
Okay.
Let me say one thing.
That's unreasonable, sir.
If you get a permit within 10 days, once you get that permit, you have to start work and continue to make that to continually finish that till it's done. Once you get the permit, am I right?
You talking to me? But I'm saying to you, I need more time than 10 days.
Well, we're going to talk about that. We'll see, and we'll get back. We're just going to go into the breakout room with the board. Okay.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Okay. Here's the deal.
Yes, sir.
You got to get an engineer's report and have a permit within 30 days and then commence work. Okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
You guys
Good
have
luck.
a good day. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye. Okay. Okey dokey, what's the next one?
Mr. Miller, if I may, can I inquire to see if our appellants are here for the next matter?
Yeah, sure.
This will be
Absolutely.
for 1529 South 24th Street. Is Alexina McKnight here?
Yes, I'm Alexina McKnight.
Okay, Ms. McKnight,
Alexina?
I'm just going to change your name here so the court reporter can see it.
That's fine. This is my church name.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. All right, let's get started. All right. I'm Wayne Miller, board member.
Here, Rivera, board member.
Ed August, board member.
Brian McSherry, Board Counsel.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administration.
Philip Motto, Boards Administration.
Thomas Rybakowski, City of Philadelphia, License and Inspections.
Okay. Alexina, are you going to be testifying in this case?
Yes, and this is my cousin, Mr. Lawrence Carr.
Carr.
And he's going to be testifying also?
Yes.
Okay, Alexina, we'll start with you first. Could you raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Thank you. I will.
Okay. Excuse me, I forgot your name, sir.
Lawrence Carr.
Lawrence, you'll be testifying in the case. Could you please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And
Tom?
Lawrence, can you please spell your last name for the court reporter?
Yes, Carr, C-A-R-R.
Thank you.
Okay, Tom, could you please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, Phil, could you read that into the record?
Yes, sir. This is MI 2024-001-268 for the property located at 1529 South 24th Street. Alexina McKnight is the appellant, and she's present in the room today.
Okay, Tom, do you want to start off or do you want Alexina to start off?
I'll go.
Okay,
So
okay,
what we have is the property was deemed as unsafe prior to filing an appeal or while filing an appeal. The appellant has made assertions that they have an engineer's report. The engineer's report says that the property is not unsafe, but it does spell out a very extensive, detailed list of the required repairs that need to be done to this property. Being that these repairs are a structural repair in nature, they require repair of the exterior masonry work along the front and side of the property. A make-safe permit would be required. I illustrated this detail in the email to the appellant. That email was done on March 5th of 2024, basically saying that, yes, I do see the engineer's report, but I do disagree that it is not an unsafe condition, but there is a unsafe matter, and that unsafe matter is if material falls off the property or if something happens, it could potentially injure somebody, which constitutes a unsafe condition. With the amount of repairs that were required, a make-safe permit would be required for this repair. As of yesterday, I received an email with a quote from a contractor. That quote spells out a very long, lengthy list of the required repairs and the amount of work that needs to be done, along with a series of price points on that detail for the repair of the property. That detail, and I won't go into price. That's their petition. But with that long list of repairs, we are willing to give between 60 and 90 days to get the make-safe permit for the repair, and I'll leave that timetable up to the board.
okay. Alexina, could you tell us your story, part of the story, or Lawrence wants to tell us?
Yes, I'll start off. I came home and I was devastated that this was in my house. My parents have had this house since 1956, and I didn't know about the things that Mr. Tom had indicated. So subsequently, I ran down to L&I the very next day and pulled the violations. And then I shared this with my cousin because of the fact that our church also has gone through repairs post-COVID regarding the structure of it. So I was able to, he'll take you from here.
Okay, go Lawrence.
Yeah, at this time, we thank you for the extension. But as my sister, who's my first cousin, explained, it was devastating to her. And that the repairs that are extensive, but the point of having it repaired. So now we'll have to get a loan in order to make the repairs. So we're looking for an extension on the timeline to have it repaired. Now, I will say this: we had the engineer come out and he looked at it, and which in our initial statement or that was posted that it was unsafe. That's our total disagreement with that. It is not unsafe. That it is safe to live here and to allow us the opportunity to have the correction made.
Okay, so could I just interrupt you for a second, Mr. Carr and Ms. McKnight? The department's not saying that you can't live in the property. If the department had declared the property eminently dangerous, then that posting would have said vacate immediately. What we're not saying is that you can't live in the property. What we're saying is that there is an unsafe condition that needs to be rectified at the property, and you need to make the necessary repairs, which you've already started the steps to. You filing the appeal is going to the board to say whether or not the violation is accurate and whether or not they are going to grant a variance on time frame in order to allow you to get that permit. The department is willing to allow you 60 to 90, depending upon what the board decides, to allow you to obtain or at least get a permit under review for the make safe permit, which you've already been notified by the department representative and also your contractor, because as of last night on the estimate on the in regular print, it says this does not require, this requires the make safe permit to be issued. So right now it's basically just a issuance of how much time to give you, and I'm going to turn that over to the board. I'm not going to go back and forth with it. So with that said, I'm going to rest, but that's about all we have.
One question, Tom, on the line, are there all of the line items on the contractor's quote, are all those things that fall under the requirement of the make safe permit, or are some of them discretionary in your mind?
So on the report, I'm not going to go into all of it,
Right.
but one of them is repair and replace brownstone seals with concrete sills. So that would be taking out the brownstone window sill or for the masonry unit for the window and putting in a new concrete one. That would be basically removing some sort of masonry. So yes, the make safe permit would cover that that type of repair. There's another one, remove and replace all 7 sills along the side wall with concrete sills. The next one is remove and replace all 12 headers on side of property with concrete headers. That would be lentil. So they would be definitely something that a make safe permit would require for them to do.
So there are no items that you think are not, in that category?
No, and in fact, one of the requirements is grind out crack between garage and main wall. Install 4 helical rods throughout crack. Reseal crack with a mastic. So yeah, so they would be a structural repair in nature.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
My concern is the violation says the wall is bulging, but the engineer's report doesn't say anything about a bulge. And he isn't addressing any bulge. So I'm a little perplexed by that.
So I will share my screen, and in fact, I actually have the photographs that were taken by the inspector that show the property, and that way you'll see it. Can everybody?
I mean, I do think that engineer's report addresses things that are not in the violation, but he doesn't address the bulge that is in the violation.
So what we have is this is the side of the property at 1529 South 24th Street. The area of concern, it's very hard to show in a bulge or in a photograph rendering, but you have at the back of the property, he took the photograph along the side of the property. But you have a step fracture that's between the basement window and then the first floor. And then there's some, it looks like some discoloration and possibly step fracture between the second story and third.
Tom, when you talk about the sill and the lintel, I think there's 12 headers have to be replaced. Is that the things over top of the window? The
Yeah.
headers?
Yeah.
Okay. And the sills are the 7 sills have to be replaced, or are the window sills? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But the violation doesn't mention anything about the lintel. I'm just trying to say, maybe she doesn't need to get the lintels and the sills done at this point. I think the bulge needs to get addressed though, if there's a bulge.
So,
Can we caucus?
Go ahead. Yeah, sure, we certainly can. Okay. All right, we're gonna caucus. Give us a minute. All right. All right. Okay, here we go. Okay, Mrs. McKnight, here's what we're looking at. We're looking to give you 90 days to take care of the bulge. That's the only thing that has come to our attention from the city. You have your engineer's report, okay, the headers and the sills. The thing is that if you need to get them done, that's not in our purview today. Our only issue is the bulge. So, but and we don't think that the headers or the sills are that dangerous, and it wasn't cited in this. So you could do that when you get a chance to, when you get the money to do it. But we need to get the bulge taken care of, and you have 90 days to get a permit and get that done.
But you need to have, the engineer needs to come back and do a report that only addresses the violation. And that will be filed when you file for that permit. We also urge you, I mean, there's the other stuff that's been noted there and that you've gotten pricing for. It should be addressed as soon as you're able to do it, because it will continue to deteriorate.
Okay, so let me make sure I write it down again. So the only thing I have to address is the bulge.
The bulge, and you have to get an engineer to come back and give the report on that.
And
Okay.
and the engineer will come back, and I have to have another meeting with you.
Not if
No.
you can submit for the permit within 60 to 90 days.
90 days. Yep.
But the engineer should issue a report just talking about the violation.
Yeah.
He can note the other things, but in his recommendations at the end, he really just needs to say what you need to do for the bulge.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Lawrence Clark, we thank you. And I just had a report, just looking at the estimate. And just to bring this in, that my sister Alexina is retired. And due to her retirement, I'm looking at the price of this and looking at just going for the bulge would be I'm thinking a substantial reduction in her, because she is
On a fixed income.
fixed income.
And fixed incomes are never enough.
So true, so true.
so let me make it a little bit clearer for you from the department standpoint, from the rendering of the board. If you have the engineer come out, and the engineer comes out and says, you know what, there's not an unsafe condition, the bulge it's still plumb, it's not going to pose a threat to the public, you need to make the necessary repairs under a permit for the repairs that you have that are detailed on your report, but they're not necessary to make the property safe. They do require a permit, but your make safe is the bulge and whatever's addressed in the violation. If the engineer addresses all those violations and they come out and say, you know what, yes, it's bad, but it needs maintenance. Or they could come out and say, yes, it needs a mechanical fastener or something attached to the building to hold back that wall. or it needs to be rebuilt in its entirety, then you would need the permit for that. But the materials that are all listed on that quote, yes, they're repairs that would require a building permit, but they're not necessarily the make-safe conditions. The make-safe conditions are what's in that violation, and they need to be addressed by a design professional.
Yeah. So you're not on the clock for those other items is basically what we're saying, but we urge you to address them as soon as you can.
Yeah, anything that lets water in that wall contributes to the bowing, and
Yes.
deteriorating lintels and sills are gonna let water in the wall, but you need to stabilize the wall, stabilize the bowing first.
Okay. All right, Lawrence, Ms. McKnight, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was gonna ask you for a job.
No,
You
you
take it back.
can have this one.
Ah,
Take it easy now.
Good luck.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, sometimes it's
Alright.
like a fixed income is an income to fix stuff, you know.
Yeah, right. Fixed income is there. Let's see, what's the next one? Brown Street?
Next
Yes.
item, sir, is MI 2023-001-821. It's the property located at 3851 Brown Street. Ishmi Powell is the appellant. He appears to be in the room. Mr. Powell, is that you?
Yes,
He's here in the
Mr.
room, sir.
Powell?
yes,
Okay. Mr. Powell, you anyone going to be testifying in this case?
yeah, I'm the only one.
Okay, could you please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Okay, Tom, we're gonna get you, is Tom here? Tom, please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Wayne Miller, board member.
Amy Rivera, board member.
Ted August, board member.
Ryan McSherry, Board Counsel.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administration.
Okay, Phil, could you read that into the record, please?
I'm sorry, this is MI 2023-001-821 for the property located at 3851 Brown Street.
Okay, Mr. Powell, you want to tell us what's going on, your building?
yes, I just, came home from being, incarcerated, and, I had a letter sent to my property saying that my building was eminently, dangerous. So I just, I went to go check on the building, and then I filed the appeal to, to stop whatever necessary situation that they were saying to my building. This been over like a year ago when I filed for the appeal.
Okay, Tom, could you?
And is the building occupied?
No, it's not occupied.
Thanks.
So I'm gonna share my screen in a moment. I'll illustrate to the board. So this case was written December of 2022.
Okay.
There was a permit that was issued for this property. It was issued September of 2023. And for the repair of the property, then the permit holder contacted the department and said to expire this permit. When there was no work done on an eminently dangerous structure, we expired the permit. We sent notices back out, and that's what brings us to in front of the board today for those notices. We understand that the first notices that went out were for the initial violation, and they are for that's where you have the right to appeal. But that said, we sent out the final notice illustrating that that permit had been expired and it's still in violation and needs to be repaired. I have spoken to the owner. I believe, Mr. Powell, you and I have spoken via the phone, and at that time, that conversation, you had said that you were going to file an appeal to this board. During that conversation, it was illustrated that we would give till April 24th to obtain a make-safe permit for the repair of the property. And I only have one question for Mr. Powell. Mr. Powell, are you aware of the permit that was pulled for the property? Did you or a representative facilitate that permit?
No, when I talked to you and you told me to get some kind of permit, that's what I did. I just tried to get the permit because I really wasn't aware of how to process. I'm sorry about that. I'm in my work office. Sorry about that. I wasn't aware of how the process worked. So I just paid, I paid to try to resolve the issue.
Okay, so with that said, the timeframe that I'm still proposing to the board is on or around that April 24th date. That would basically be 30 days from today. We would ask for a make safe permit to be under review within 30 days. That's it.
Can we see the pictures?
Yeah, I'll share my screen.
And Tom, does that require an engineer's report or,
Being the property is declared as eminently dangerous, then yes, it would require a engineering report to facilitate the repairs that are required on that property.
Could it be the same application as what was previously done?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
So-
basically, the permit was expired as the permit holder did ask for us to expire the permit, but all those documentations are still on file, and Mr. Powell could essentially just come into the department and ask for that permit to be reinstated. It would go through another review process and everything of that nature, but essentially he could come in, make the appointment, and if it was still the same contractor, still the same, everything was the same. The only difference was the permit holder or the applicant. That could be rectified by another application.
so presumably
They
there
could reference that permit number.
so there was an engineer's report as part of that application when it was filed?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes, there was. So let me get right to the photos. So this is the front of the property at 3851 Brown Street. You can see it's the end of the row. And then trying to make it at least some semblance of the. So that's the side wall of the property. And then so you essentially have an end of a row, 2-story single family dwelling. And you can see that there's been something going on with the bricks along that side of the property, where one white has been removed or at least is missing off the property. You can see that there's some sort of the flooring assemblies are missing or have collapsed or have been removed. And then this is another photograph taken of the property October 31st of 2023, where the top of the property has been sealed with plywood. That's it.
So it's mostly just that side area where the floor joists are gone. Looks like someone started to repair, took the floor joists out and started to try to repair that.
Essentially, yes.
Mr. Powell, what will it cost to fix this up and to make it safe?
Yes, I'm in the process now of getting the funding to repair the building. So and that's what it was. I had a loan, and
If things happen,
it didn't fall through. Yeah, to fix it up. That's why the floor joists and stuff was out of it like that. It wasn't out because it was deteriorating in the inside. Yeah, I removed it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to meet this at 30 days?
Not in 30 days. Not in 30 days.
How long ago was that work done, where the joists were pulled out and the wall was starting to be worked on?
That was about I'm gonna say last year or sometime. I don't know the exact month. I don't want to just say
Okay,
just
all
give
right,
you
so,
time frame. Yeah.
Just for a matter of record, the permit was expired October of 2023.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good building, it definitely worth salvaging, so.
Okay.
I just, if I could speak, I just asked that, can I get some time, because I'm in the process of, getting the, architects out there to, to rehab the building, it
Well-
wouldn't have been that way if it wasn't due to my, me being, away,
Yeah, we know.
So
So-
now that I'm home, I'm trying to address it.
So, Mr. Powell, I'm just gonna put this again as a matter of record. I know you're saying you want to have the architect go out there and you want to rehab the property. I'm not saying the property has to be habitable. I'm not saying that it has to be move-in ready. What I'm saying is that the property has to be deemed safe under the terms of a make-safe permit, and then it can sit vacant while you obtain the funds to make the property habitable. What we're saying is that we need to ensure that it's made safe, and then once it's made safe, then you just get your vacant property license. And then then you recoup the monetary funds that you need to make the property habitable.
Okay.
yeah, we
That's
only
about
want you to address the make safe issue. And it doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to be safe.
Okay. I understand. Yes.
Uh, right.
Do we want to caucus?
yeah, we'll caucus for once. Yeah, let's caucus.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on a second. I'll be right with you guys. All right. All right, Mr. Powell, we talked about, we understand you've had a little problem, an issue. So, we're gonna give you 90 days to make it safe,
Okay.
okay? Like Tom was saying and Amy and Ted, you don't have to make it pretty, just make it safe within 90 days,
Okay.
okay?
And hopefully you have all
Okay.
the drawings and paperwork you need from the last permit submission. But you don't have to spend any money on that if you're willing to use the same contractor.
Okay.
And then you can proceed with the full renovation at the point where your funds are in
Okay.
place.
All right.
Tom, is that permit good for that he can come back in and reinstate it in 90 days?
So what he would have to do, he would have to file a new permit application, but he could reference that permit number as long as that those design professional documents are not over 60. I mean, I'm sorry, or are not over 6 months. Then it's my belief that they should be able to use those as correct documentation. They might need to be revised at date wise, but that would be just something that the engineer could facilitate.
Okay, Mr. Powell, you all right with that?
Yes.
And if you have if there's any issues or anything like that, you could always give Tom a call. He'll help you out, whatever, walk you through things.
Okay. And I believe I have his number. Not just wanted to make. Do I get any kind of information sent back to me for the conversation that we had today? Like any paperwork, so I could just know what to give the like the contractors and stuff like that.
The board's decision will be sent to you. I can send it to you to your email.
Okay. All
Okay?
right.
I don't think
Okay.
it's something your contractor needs, but it's just gonna be a quick letter stating that we gave you 90 days.
And you
Okay.
already got the engineer's report to pull the permit the last time, so you should be able to just reinstate that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Kevin,
Yeah.
that'll probably take a couple of weeks for that letter to go out, just for what it's worth. Does
Yeah.
that sound right?
Okay.
She's not.
No, Deb. Does it take a couple of weeks it would take a couple of weeks to get that letter, right?
No, actually, I can do it next week. I just have to attach it and close the hearing of
Okay.
the case. So I can
All right.
send it to you by Monday.
Okay, Mr. Powell, she'll send it to you by Monday. All right?
Okay, all right, thanks a lot.
All right, pal, good luck, all right?
All right, thank
All
you.
right, talk to you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Bye, Tom, thank you.
That's it for me. Have a good day.
You too, pal, talk to you.
Talk to you.
All right.
Stop recording.
Okay, all right, let me know when everybody's in.
Oh, there is a lot. I think that's everyone, but everybody's connecting.
Are we on the board? Are we on the?
Thank you for your patience.
Okay, thanks, guys. Now, here's what we're gonna do. Craig, are you gonna be doing the case for 1731?
You have Jeremy and Brett.
Jeremy and Brett, you the only two guys that are gonna be testifying.
No, I believe the owners were also in the waiting room. Max and
Okay.
Zach Frankel.
Okay, Zach Frankel.
Yes.
Hi,
and,
good afternoon.
Okay, hey, Zach, how you doing? How many other people are gonna be testifying? Okay, so just three?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. My name's Wayne Miller, board member.
Amy Rivera, board member.
Ed Agus, board member.
John Dimes, Fire Code.
Ryan McSherry, Board Counsel.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administration.
Philip Motto, Boards Administration.
Okay, all right, Zach, if you're gonna be testifying, please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, next guy is gonna be testifying in the case. Eli? Okay,
Yes.
did you raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, who else is gonna be in the testifying?
Wait,
Chairman
I
Miller, I
think
just
we
want to
have-
confirm, many of us are here for 2100 Arch Street. I don't, I believe you mentioned 1731.
Yeah, 1731, right.
Okay,
Who's
yeah.
here for 1731?
2100 Arch Street is next.
Yeah, 2100 Arch
Those
Street.
list after.
There's
Yeah,
only
you're the
two
second
guys
case.
here for 1731?
three.
I'm here as well.
Three?
Max Frankel.
Okay, Max. Okay, Max, you a lawyer?
I am not. I am an owner.
Okay, then you gotta get sworn in. Please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, who's the next one? Eli, I got you. Okay,
Jeremy.
Jeremy, please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay,
Right.
put that into the record, Phil.
This is MI 2024-001-390 for the property located at 1731 Tiegman Street. Craig Deutsch is the appellant. He's being represented by Mr. LeCompte and Mr. Bretterman.
This is the reporter. I don't believe that Brett has been sworn in yet.
Okay, Brett, where you at?
I'm here.
Yeah, I swore Brett in. I swore him in.
I do.
Oh, he does.
I do.
And we do. Okay, whoever's gonna present the case, go ahead.
Okay. Can I share screen?
You certainly can.
Okay. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. So we're here today because we're proposing combustible staircases within the type 1 portion of our 5-story structure. We're doing this. Let me bring up a building section while I say this. So this is our proposed 5-story structure, the upper 4 floors of which are all type 5 construction, and everything below the 2nd floor deck is type 1 construction. It's been a gray area and point of contention for a while, how to treat the stair shafts that penetrate the otherwise 3-hour podium in this type of construction, and how to deal with the staircases that fall above and below the podium. This is not clear in the 2018 code, but in the 2021 code, it has been spelled out and clarified. And essentially what we are seeking to do here is comply with the requirements of the 2021 code that have understandably not been adopted yet. But the 2021 code will allow us to essentially turn our 3-hour horizontal separation down at our exit stairways to maintain our 3-hour separation and continue the use of combustible staircases down to the exit level, not transitioning to a non-combustible staircase at the podium level. So I have that section 510.2 horizontal building separation allowance code section here. And again, this is taken from the 2021 code, not the 2018 code, which we're currently under. But it's my opinion that this is essentially a clarification of something that has always been gray. And we are simply trying to comply with this new version of 510.2, which includes condition number 4 here, which explicitly states interior exit stairways located within the type 1A portion of the building are permitted to be of combustible materials where the following requirements are met. And this is essentially, limiting our construction types, which we comply with, and then further indicating that we need to enclose that staircase within a 3-hour separation consistent with our podium rating, which we are also proposing in our drawings. I think that's
And you
all I
meet all
have.
those requirements? I thought you said your first floor was type 1. Is it type 1A?
Yes, first floor is type 1A, and the 4 floors above are type 5A.
Real quick, sir, this is Lieutenant Dimes. Are you saying, so are the entire stairs going to be combustible, but they're going to be enclosed in a 3-hour rating all the way up? Or are you saying?
Correct.
Okay.
The walls will be non-combustible, and the 3-hour fire separation will turn down at the walls. So we're maintaining that 3-hour separation, but the construction of the staircases themselves will be the same as the floors above, all wood staircases.
But what about the enclosure above? Or is that 3-hour?
The 3-hour separation stops at the second level podium, second
Okay.
floor podium. So the construction above the podium is all type 5A construction. So our stair shaft at the upper 4 floors is a typical 2-hour rated stair shaft.
Okay.
And the framing above the podium is 1 hour protected as compliant with type 5A construction.
Got it.
So what other issues we have with it?
As far as I mean, if that's the way the code's going, there's always a gray area, and when there's a code that's going to be adopted the next code cycle, and I think when Philadelphia adopts building codes, there's really no Philadelphia amendments with the building codes, I believe, like the fire code you adopt the international with Philadelphia amendments. I don't think that's the case with the building code. Yeah, so if that's where it's going, I don't have a problem with it.
Jeremy, you said at the first floor, it's non-combustible. Is it block?
What was the last part of that question?
Is the first floor stair enclosure block? You said it was non-combustible.
So one of the two, I have 2 stairs in the building. One of them is block, and the other one is cold form steel studs with, I can show you the partition type. It's probably the easiest thing to do.
And
So one of them is block.
All right, are you having cold form steel studs go the rest of the way up for both of them?
No, above the podium, we transition to wood. Everything above the second floor podium is wood, but at the first floor, we transition to block in the case of one of our stairwells, and in the other case, it's this cold form steel stud wall, which is a 3-hour rated wall assembly. Uses Structocrete, 3/4 inch Structocrete up against the cold form steel studs, and then a layer of 5/8 gypsum over that.
Hey, Ted, you want to caucus?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Discussion We had a small discussion with the board. We feel that we'll grant the variance. And good luck.
Great, thank you.
Okay, guys?
Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
Okey dokey. What's the next one? 2100 Arch Street.
Yes, that is
Right.
correct.
How
And I
many-
think, I'm pretty
how
sure
many
everyone's
people
here.
we have
Mr.
for Arch
Phillips, is
Street?
everyone here for your party?
How many people we have for Arch Street? In here.
Good,
I need first names of everybody from Arch Street.
Okay, Mr. Phillips is going to give that to you.
Okay.
good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Michael Phillips, Claire Harrison, on behalf of the property
Mike.
owner. We have Eli Storch here,
Okay.
Aaron Smith,
Okay.
Christopher Bocella,
Okay.
Clayton Smith,
Okay.
and Sean Fraley.
And Sean? Okay. Who are lawyers? How many guys are lawyers?
Just me.
Just you. You're the only one that tells the truth, so we don't have to swear you in, all right?
That's what
So,
they say, yeah.
all right, Mike, we'll go with Eli. Eli, please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Aaron, please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
Yeah. Yes.
Chris, please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Sean, please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth. Sean,
Sean is muted.
Sean, get unmuted. Okay, who's the next one? Clayton or
Clayton.
Clayton?
I do.
Clayton. Okay, is that Sean?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good, Sean. Clayton, please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth. Okay, all right, good. I'm Wayne Miller, board member.
Amy Rivera, board member.
Ted August, board member.
John Dimes, Fire Code.
Brian McSherry, Board Counsel.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administration.
Philip Motto, Boards Administration.
Okay, Phil. Phil, read that in the record.
Can we ask that everybody recording, everybody presenting, have cameras on? I think legally we need a visual.
Yes, I believe Eli, Chris, and Aaron are all sitting together, which is why they're all muted on the screen. I believe Sean it seemed to be the only one who's not on camera.
Chris also needs to be on camera.
Or not say anything. We're not saying anything. Yeah, either way, Chris.
I didn't say anything. I thought you could stick your head in when you had to say something.
I'll turn my camera on if I'm going to say something.
All right, good enough. All right. All right, whoever's going to present the case, go ahead.
Wayne, let
Thank you.
Matthew say his name for the record, please.
Matthew who?
Matthew from L&I.
Oh, where you at, Matt?
Been here
Oh, there you go.
for at
Say
least
your
5
name,
minutes.
Matthew.
Matthew Wojcik, L&I supervisor.
Okay,
Thank
Christ, you
you.
must have been hiding. I didn't see it. All right, whoever's going to present the case, go ahead.
Mr. Miller, we need to read it in.
Oh, I thought you read it in, but read it in, Phil. Go ahead.
MI 2024-001-518 for the property located at 2100 Arch Street.
Go. Whoever's going to present it, go ahead.
Thank you. I will turn things over to Aaron Smith and Eli quickly to share their screen and go through the plans, but I just wanted to briefly, by way of introduction, this is an existing building at 2100 Arch Street, most recently used as offices owned by the Jewish Federation of Greater Philadelphia. Even before the pandemic, the Jewish Federation was downsizing, moved their offices over to Commerce, and this is one of the buildings that is a prime candidate for office to residential conversion due to the changing demographics in the city of Philadelphia. As Eli will show, this is a very unique building based on both its topography, the existing structure and location such that the front of the building fronting Arch Street is outside of the floodplain, but it slopes down to the back at Walden where it is within the floodplain. Eli will talk through the need for the variance as well as the proposal to dry floodproof this large existing basement, which has been there in two parts. First, the building was constructed in the turn of the century, and then there was an addition in 1980 that was approved along with actually a floodplain variance was granted back then so that the new basement did not have to be flood-proofed, but we are proposing to do that now as we seek to convert to residential. And all living space, and as well as, like I mentioned a moment ago, the entrance to the building are all elevated above the floodplain. So these dry floodproofing techniques are needed, though, for this large existing basement. So I will turn it over to Aaron and Eli.
Hey everyone, I will try and keep this under 2 minutes. I just wanted to give a quick overview of sort of the team and my firm. I'm Aaron Smith, founder and partner at MM Partners. Owner of the building as well. So 2100 is a project that's pretty special to me. I grew up just a few blocks away from this building. I've spent my entire life in Philadelphia, and my company MM Partners specializes in the adaptive reuse of older buildings. And most of these buildings have sat vacant for decades before our intervention. Many of our larger adaptive reuse projects also involve historic tax credits, something that this building, I believe, is about 7 or 8 years away from. To date, we've redone a century-old brewery that had been sitting vacant and crumbling for 30 plus years. We converted a hospital that was bankrupt and shuttered. We saved an old electrical supply warehouse. We're currently converting actually a warehouse that built the prototype for the original steam trolleys back in the day. And sort of much like those buildings that had lost their intended purpose, we're here today to discuss a former office building that's demonstrated that it sort of no longer serves that purpose it was originally created to serve. And just like a lot of other office buildings around Philly in the United States, we're seeing this problem in a bunch of areas. So this building is situated in a great neighborhood, lends itself nicely to a residential conversion. And much like the other buildings that we've converted pre-conversion, it currently sits and sort of just acts as a drain on the surrounding community and blocks. So we're here today to discuss the property's relationship to the floodplain. And I'm pretty excited about the plan that we produced after about a year of design work. On this team, we have Nando and Eli sitting across from me from LRK, our architects. Our floodplain consultant that you can see on the screen, Clayton Smith from TWT. And then you also have Sean Frawley, who is our general contractor from Axis Construction. And to give you some background, Axis and MMP have done 6 large-scale adaptive reuse projects, most of them historic tax credit work in the last 10 years. So this team's about to present our plan from here. I look forward to showing you how we plan to safely and creatively take a shuttered office building and reactivate it into a safe in a safe and constructive manner. And the last thing I'll say is that I also founded and been running our property management company called PSCO since right before the pandemic. You'll see why that's important later. We manage all of our own apartments. We don't offer this service to outside clients. And our property management firm is comprised of highly experienced local construction and property management personnel. We easily navigate the property management waters, especially when there are mother nature type situations that strike during different seasons throughout the year. So snowstorms, anything like that. And just thank you for taking the time and listening to us today. And I'll kick it off to throw it to Eli.
This is the court reporter. Excuse me if I could interrupt for just 1 second.
Sure.
Because there are multiple people coming from one screen. Could I ask that every time someone speaks, they identify themselves?
Yeah, no problem. That was Aaron Smith,
for
and
the
I'm going to
record.
throw it to Eli Storch now from LRK.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Aaron. Eli Storch. I'm going to present a bit about the building and our approach to protecting it. So just to give some context, here we are at 21st and Arch Street, looking down on Arch Street. So we're seeing the side of the building that is high and dry and above the floodplain. This building was designed to be engaged with from Arch Street. That's the main entrance. That's where the front of the building is. And then spinning around behind it, you get to the rear, which is Walden Street, which is trash loading, some egress. And so it was designed to be very much a front of the building, back of the building arrangement. And that's how both the interior and exterior of the building have been arranged. So looking at our location here, you can see my cursor here hovering over that red rectangle. that's where we are at the edge of the floodplain. I know you can't be just a little in the floodplain. You're either in it or you're out of it. But we have a unique condition here in that our main entrance is high and dry. Walden Street is within the floodplain. But because we are at the edge of the 100-year floodplain, structural has reviewed it. There is no concern about any velocity of water. The amount of water that would be against the building is not significant and would not cause any threat to the building structure. Zoom in a little closer, you can see this gray dashed line meandering through the site. That is the edge of the floodplain. So zooming in closer, you can see here along Arch Street, the main entry where we're proposing to redo this courtyard, but keep maintaining that first floor elevation. All residential spaces and the main entry are at that higher first floor elevation or above. So Arch Street itself is out of the floodplain, and then we have an additional 4 feet to the main entrance. So we are comfortable on Arch Street. And then spinning around to Walden Street, we're looking at the rear service areas of the building. The brick section of the building is triple wide mass masonry, and the 1980s edition is cast in place concrete with limited filled CMU block to match the thickness. You can see there is some loading capacity. We have egress doors and then this entry point into the auditorium space. Just sort of showing you some of these doors that we're going to be that we're hoping to both protect and infill. Any door that is extraneous to our function, we are proposing to infill in order to help safe off the building and make as safe and protected a basement floor as we possibly can. So looking at the basement plan here, you can see in blue where the existing electrical and water rooms are facing onto Arch Street. They are existing equipment that we are planning to reuse in place. The fire pump room would be a new fire pump to meet the new demand, but it would also be in place to work with the existing infrastructure. And then we do have a new a new emergency generator, which will be lifted onto a platform above the design flood elevation. So base flood elevation plus a 1.5 foot gets us to design flood elevation, and it will be above that. So it will be safe in an immediate storm. It would be safe in a future storm based on that 18 inches of additional elevation. So this is the 1980s edition on the right side here that Mike referenced was granted via a floodplain variance to be constructed in the early 80s. It has a wonderful open space and is it's a really wonderful piece of this building in terms of it housed a former small museum, and it has this wonderful gathering area in it with an enormous ceremonial stair supported by restrooms down below. So as we start to talk about how we propose to protect the building, we have some additional, we have some photographs that, Elaine Montez was nice enough to share with us of the site during Hurricane Ida. This is not the full 100-year flood, but it's pretty close. This building received multiple feet of water against it on the Walden Street and partially on 21st Street side. And so we have a case study, and we know that what happened was the primary failure and the majority failure was the doors, as it always is. But while the lower area of the basement received some water, that upper floor where the equipment is, the floors got a little wet, but all of that equipment is still operational and has been used ever since then. So did not require any replacement. And we believe that with further protections, we can really protect that and make it safe for continuing use. So I wanted to show the proposed basement plan. Again, we have a gathering area and our fitness room. These are uses that are really, really well suited to the space, but also from the floodplain perspective, they have the ability to be shut off very easily. They're not essential functions. If they're they need to be closed for a day or two or a week, it will not be a significant issue. The remaining basement are the utilities I mentioned, and storage. So bikes, whether it's bike storage, some residential storage, and the trash storage in the basement. Yes, we noted in the drawings we sent over, the low side is the right side, the high side is the left side, and that bears out in terms of these steps down here that that I'll explain how we propose to protect. So the first approach, the first method that we wanted to talk about are temporary flood barriers. We're proposing the introduction of temporary flood barriers such that there are the rails that are attached to the building and remain attached to the building. And then there are a series of aluminum gasketed planks that meet the FEMA and NFIP requirements that can be deployed very easily. In the blue on the left here is where those would live. We require 3 of them to protect the openings on this floor. And because of the lightweight and the lack of significant openings in this design, we can deploy them very quickly. They'll live on dedicated carts, and all other interior signage and things related to the floodplain response will all be in one place, so it's easy to navigate for the property management team. This Garrison flood control product is the product that we're proposing to use. Again, you can see the rails on either side, and then the slats that get added into the middle. 6 foot is the maximum off-the-shelf version before you need any customization to structure, and a 6-foot flood door or floodgate will do what we need it to do. So we would be purchasing a standard stock product, which is a very good thing because the engineering is decided on and quite clean. And then our widest opening would be 6'4", and they'll make these up to 12 feet standard. So in the event of a flood emergency, each of these gets dropped into place, and then you can see where it says M14 by 50 bolt. That gets a little bit of tightening to pressurize the various gaskets, and that's it. That's how this piece works, and you're done. Traditionally, floodproofing, dry floodproofing is not allowed for residential because you do have to lose access points, whether it's through the water itself or methods like this flood barrier. But again, these are temporary uses in the basement. There's nothing residential in the basement, and our main entry door is high and dry, so folks can be directed to use that door, and we do not have an egress issue there. This was on the G004 sheet that we shared. Just wanted to point out the elevation from Walden Street. So the 2 horizontal lines, the lower line is the base flood elevation. The upper line is the design flood elevation, which is raised 18 inches above that base flood elevation. I'll zoom in a little. So on the left side, where we have that lower area to the auditorium, the proposal is to dowel an 8-inch solid or an 8-inch grouted solid CMU wall to the existing curb, makes a 4-foot opening that can then hold the temporary flood barrier. It's compliant with our egress paths, and it allows us to have a controlled opening to protect. And then on the other side, you can see where those 2s are located. All of those 2s represent doors that are not required and will be infilled. And then you can see the other 2 flood barriers that we're proposing. And the door on the right is our lowest door sill, but even with that 6-foot flood barrier, the top of that flood barrier is a ½ foot above the design flood elevation, so 2 full feet above the base flood elevation. We've prepared a flood emergency preparation plan. I just wanted to highlight a few things. I'm happy to go through it in depth, but we're noting that, as Aaron mentioned, it's the property owner's management team. It's not a subbed out property management company, so it's their staff that it will have 2 folks on site 24/7. It will be part of the training. It will be, there will be manufacturer required training, as well as any additional training that LNI requests to be included in there. We have our notifications within our residential leases, making sure everyone has signed up there and is going to get any updates that they need. And then our goal is that the lowest adjacent elevation on Walden Street is at this 13.75 foot elevation. So the alert goes out early and the call to put those temporary flood barriers happens before Walden Street gets wet. So that management group is going out and securing those doors before Walden Street gets wet, which is still, multiple, half a foot plus before the doors themselves will be threatened, because the low point of that street is well below our door. And we are adding a backup electrical generator, as I mentioned, which will be outside of the flood elevation to service the elevators, refrigerators, lights, and heat. So, Aaron, I think if you want to just talk a little bit more about the project management or the property management perspective, how they'll handle this with PSCO.
Sure. Like Eli,
Say your name again.
Aaron Smith, MM Partners. Like Eli had mentioned, we've been running this property management company, and like I mentioned earlier, for I guess 4.5 years now, 4+ years. Everyone who is a part of this team is either a construction or property management personnel. We generally blend the two of them. So you'll have a maintenance person here, you'll have a front desk person here, as well as 2 people that live right around the building as well. We meet, and you probably don't want to know this, but we have meetings literally every single day about all of our different properties. We've gone through different snowstorms, different sort of, like I said, Mother Nature events. And we are a just hyper attuned, aggressive property management company. Philadelphia is a city, I grew up here, that loves a slip and fall. There's all sorts of things that you've got to be careful with when you are a property manager. So for us, it's the daily visual sort of walk arounds of our properties. Our maintenance people, our front door people reporting directly to us. And we're on site multiple times a week. And I think most importantly, we don't manage other people's properties. So we are in the business of managing our own properties. I'm actually pretty proud. It's hard to go on Google and get good reviews of property management companies. I think you're always going to get complaints, but our rating's pretty high. We're very proud of how we operate. And like I said, we've been doing this for 18+ years now in construction, and managing properties, both outsourced and insourced. And this is now it with us. PSCO is the company that we run, and it represents and operates all of our properties. I don't know if there's anything else you want to touch on. I mean, I did want to mention that we had a very nice meeting with LNI about 4 weeks ago, I want to say, maybe a little bit longer than that. And it was refreshing to hear that the plan was viewed very positively on their end. And obviously, they don't have the power. It's in your sort of court, right? But these plans were walked through with LNI. They received fairly high praise. And I think that's the extent of my value right now. So I'll hand it back to Eli from LRK.
Who did you meet with LNI?
It was Jace and it was Andrew Culp and Jace Scara, both of which who were on the call and sort of ran through it with us. And yeah.
Along with Elaine Montez and Jeffrey Tan as well, as part of the pre-scope.
Yeah, that would. So this is Eli Storch again. Yeah, that was a positive meeting. I think they felt confident that what we are proposing works from a dry flood proofing perspective. However, because of the residential nature of the property, we needed to bring it to you to review the merits of it relative to the standards. So we have our answers to the section 3 of the variance form on the slides. We can go through them. We have Clayton, our expert. So we're here to answer questions about the approach and why we're doing what we need to do. I think it is a really wonderful building, but it functions in a very specific way. And if it reaches a point where there's an inability to access off of Walden Street, it will change the project dramatically and make it a very different and less appealing project from the street perspective, as well as the general function of the building.
I have a question, just in understanding all of this. You're saying there was a basement, but all the elevations you're showing are showing doors into the basement? So the basement is not below grade?
So the basement, so we have a significant slope, and I will go back here and I think you can see it best in this photograph.
Maybe break it down the original versus the new.
Yeah, so we have a significant grade change from Arch Street to Walden Street. So where we step up at Arch Street to our first floor, Walden Street is at the level of the basement. And then when we go look into the plan here, at the top, actually, I'll just go this one. This B205B door enters at the Walden Street grade. This other one enters at the Walden Street grade. And then over here, you're stepping down to these doors into what was an auditorium.
Right.
You're saying
In other
those
words-
doors that you want to close are no longer required for egress?
Not these two doors.
So they are required for egress only when you are using the basement. They're not required for egress any other way, because we have our egress paths from the upper floors. This center one, ST1B, is an egress door. So in the event of a flood, we would reroute people to the main entry of the building on level 1. But we have another fire stair onto 21st Street, which again can also be routed to the main entry. So during normal operations, we have our two typical fire stairs that are both routed to Walden Street and 21st Street, but both have the ability to be routed to the main entry of the building on Arch Street in order to provide a clear point of egress during any emergency.
And has L&I reviewed those temporary measures in an emergency?
Yes, we shared that with them. We shared the one thing that Andrew had asked was for us to share the spec for those flood barriers, which we sent over as part of this hearing. But we have kept the same product from when we met with L&I, and they reviewed them and they understood what we were proposing. Yes.
Anyone from L&I respond to that?
Can't hear
So-
you, Ann.
Can anyone from L&I respond
About what specifically? This is Matt
Uh,
talking, sorry.
that you know that was okay?
What specifically?
That these two exit doors will be closed off and people will be rerouted coming down emergency exit down these stairwells and not go out to those street exits, but have to be rerouted at the first floor.
Okay, I'm going to have to check exactly what was being reviewed on the preliminary, since we tend to review only the exact questions that were being asked on the prelim. We don't really do the full comprehensive thing if they don't request it.
But we did during the pre-scoping talk about the routing of egress during an emergency. So
Right. Yep.
that was discussed on that call.
Right, so I may not have been at that meeting.
I don't think you
It's
were either.
not mentioned, so that is not mentioned on the scoping meeting form that was filled out by us. It says consider substantial improvement. Dry flood proofing methods proposed. Residential occupancy, thus dry flood proofing not allowed. Variance will be required. You may obtain through prelim review or form of building permit, et cetera, but it doesn't mention anything about the egress.
Okay, the other question I had
I would
was,
have to ask someone that was at that meeting, because I was not there.
I don't know if Jeffrey Tan, you did mention you met with
Jeff?
Jeffrey Tan also.
Hi, this is Jeffrey Tan.
Thank
So
you.
I believe we did discuss this, but I don't know if there's a plan, I don't know if there was a plan reviewed of that ground floor, or sorry, we're gonna call it the ground floor level, the first floor above the basement. I don't know if that was reviewed by a plans examiner yet to confirm that that's how they're rerouting the egress configuration, but it was discussed.
Okay, is this a preliminary review?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was not a
Okay.
building permit review, it was just a prelim, so it's not exactly, it's good
Not
for the
done deal.
floodplain stuff, but I wouldn't consider it 100% good up for everything but this.
Okay,
This
My
is
other
like
que-
the prelim was specifically about the floodplain requirements.
My other question was, what is the difference between dry flood proofing and wet flood proofing?
Jeff?
So with wet floodproofing, the goal with that would be the floodwaters would be able to inundate the enclosed spaces through flood openings, and it would the goal of that would be to equalize the hydrostatic forces on both sides of the wall, so that the wall wouldn't cave in because of an imbalance of those flood water forces. Because of how they've designed this space, they're trying to avoid I guess flood damage in these spaces. So that's why they're choosing to go this route of installing some dry floodproofing measures.
Okay, thank you.
And there's not, based on the structural review, there are not significant forces that cause concern. So structural was not concerned because we're talking about 3.5 feet of water here, not a heavier amount of water that it would cause the pressures that could create those issues.
Thank you.
And we did submit the structural design criteria form filled out.
Yes, it was. I saw that.
So what
Wayne, do you
now?
want to caucus?
Yeah, well, that's what we'll do. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right. We're okay with it. We're okay with it. Whatever we're gonna give you, I guess it's the variance on whatever comes into play. We're okay with it.
To provide
any-
dry flood proofing versus wet flood.
Wet flood proofing, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
All right,
Mrs. Board.
talk to you
We
guys.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.